Hey everybody, it's your travel agent David. Have you ever wanted to go to Australia? Well, I went about 8 or 9 months ago and had a phenomenal time. Even my dog enjoyed it. So, I'm going to go over 30 interesting facts about Australia that you may not have known. And if you want to go, it'll help you understand some things a little bit better about Australia and the things that they do down under. So, way back in history, of Australia. The indigenous people were there and settled about 50,000 years before the British arrived. You're going to find more kangaroos than humans there. Australia has over 10,000 beaches, and if you're going to go to Sydney, I recommend that you go to Bondi Beach and take the walk to Coogee Beach. The scenery is just insane. And if you like to surf, go hit Bondi Beach because those waves are awesome. There are no Bill of Rights in this country, making it the only country in the Western world that has no Bill of Rights involved in its governmental system. Saudi Arabia imports camels from Australia. You know why? Because although koala bears are famous in Australia, they are outnumbered 10 to 1 by camels. There are so many different types of species in Australia that they've only identified and categorized 25% of them. That means you have a 75% chance of wandering around, find something that hasn't been discovered yet, and then you get to name it. How cool would that be? In Australia, there's a mountain called Mount Disappointment. Although I expected it to be named that after some wife that was unhappy with her husband, it was actually named after British explorers because they were disappointed they could not see Port Phillip Bay from its summit. If you like flame broiled burgers from Burger King, you will not find a Burger King in Australia. You will find a Hungry Jack's. I don't know what the reason behind it is, but they won't let Burger King in. So Burger King changed the name to Hungry Jack's so that they could have some flame broiled burgers in Australia. Now, according to a survey conducted in Britain, about 10% of the population in Britain at the time believed that the moon was closer to Britain than Australia. Highway 1 in Australia is the longest highway in the world. It spans over 9,000 miles. It's such a large country, 91% of its surface area is covered by vegetation. The national floral emblem is the wattle, a flower that was selected in 1912. There are about 200 different types of races and cultures that are in Australia, making it one of the most multicultural areas in the world. In 2018, politicians discussed if the Australian flag should be redesigned because it still incorporates the Union flag, which is part of the United Kingdom, and that's not a true reflection of modern Australian life today. In 1902, women received the right to vote in Australia. This made the country the second in the world to implement this. Nowhere has a higher gambling rate than Australia, with more than 80% of adults involved regularly in some form of betting and gambling. Australia Day takes place every year on January 26th and is a celebration of different cultures, races, religions, beliefs, and views. Kangaroo meat is widely available, and many people like this meat for its low fat content, much like my channel. Over 1 trillion bottles of wine are produced in Australia every year. While much of the wine stays in the country, there is a thriving export market to the rest of the world. So if you love wine, try out some Australian wine. It's really good. There are several large cities in Australia, including Sydney and Melbourne. Canberra was chosen to be the capital city as a result of an ongoing debate between Melbourne and Sydney over which would be the capital. So neither of you got your candy. It went to the middle child. Ugg boots, the popular winter footwear made from sheepskin, originated in Australia. More than 70% of Australian population participates regularly in some sort of a sport, although over 25% of the country is considered to be obese. Not only is Australia the flattest continent on the earth, but it is also the largest island on earth. It's weird. It's bigger than Antarctica. The largest producer of gold in the world is located in Australia. Rather than being found in one of the large cities, its home is a small town named Kalgoorlie. I hope I said that right. Now, despite being the sixth largest country in the world and the home of several large cities, there are just 24 million people living in Australia. So I think that's probably about the population of New York. So it's pretty interesting. The population of New York is on the total population of Australia. After China, the largest number of sheep can be found in Australia. With many more sheep than humans, there is approximately 100 million of these animals across the country. This also means that Australia is one of the world's leading producers of wool. Home to many crocodiles, thanks to Crocodile Dundee, every year there's at least one fatal accident involving these creatures. Crikey. The World Surfing Competition was first held in Sydney, Australia in 1964. Those waves are awesome. I learned how to, well, I guess you can kind of say it. You can watch the video on my channel. I learned how to surf, or started to learn how to surf there on Bondi Beach. And John Batman, I'm Batman, was one of the founders of the city of Melbourne. Prior to having its current name, the city was known as Batmania. So there are 30 interesting facts about Australia that you may not have known. So if you go to Australia, or you've been to Australia, maybe you can look at how you can fit some of that into their culture. I have to say that Australia is probably in the top 5 of the destinations I've been to. Is phenomenal, and the American currency exchange rate there is awesome. It's like a 60%, it's like 40% off of everything when you go there. So it's about 60 cents to one of their dollars. At least that's what it was. But if you have any questions about Sydney, reach out to me. Go and like and subscribe to my channel. And then you can go in there and find all the videos from our week in Sydney. We did everything from all the touristy stuff to off-touristy stuff. We even did a ghost hunts tour. That was pretty interesting to learn some of the dark sides of Sydney. But until next time, I'll see you next trip.